Greetings. Today's topic is more like of philosophical nature, right? Which is, how do you know if you're right? It's a weird question, but bear with me. Um, let's say I say that Mozambique is in Africa, and you say, no, Mozambique is in, say, South America, not Africa. And we don't have a way to confirm where Mozambique is. So we can't pull up a Google. We can't do anything. Right now it's a heated argument, and you say it's South America, and that guy says it's in Africa. And both of you are like trying to prove your point. How do you know which one is right? As an observer or as like one or the other. I've always found, like, when I discuss things with people, that I'm very lenient on my information. There are other people who are like Jordan Peterson, right? Where if he tells you read comments online, and somebody says I have read the comments online, he just simply says read more, because uh, if you have this conclusion out of the comments, clearly you haven't read enough. You've read like three. And there's me, who is like, well, people online would make this claim and they say I read comments and they don't think that, and I'm like, where did you read? How did you read it? Like, or where? What's the format? Convince me that you read, and maybe they'll back it around and say, where are your comments? And then I'll refer them to 1, 2, 3, 4. And unless I have that background, I say, well, we have to check before we can say anything, but so far I'm going to stick to my claim, blah, blah, blah. And the idea here is, as a guy who's discussing, you can be right or you can be wrong. You can be confident, you can be not confident about the information, but there's something, a unit in your head, that if you just remove it, discussion becomes much easier with people, which is, you may be wrong, so be careful. It's not bad to be wrong. That's another thing that you need to put in your head. I have this friend, and he would debate for hours. Sometimes hurts my head, right? But and I was talking to him once, and I'm like, "Ha, you're wrong. I was right," and that was me bantering. And then then he said something to the effect of, "No, I'm never wrong. I either end up right or end up corrected, which means I'm right too." And the idea is, no matter how this discussion ends, my end goal is to get the correct, right answer, not to be right. And that's two very different things. If you're like, everybody's been with that hangout with their friends, and two people, sometimes you're one of them, just arguing a point just very harshly, right? And there was a point where everybody knows one guy was proven wrong. And then the look in their eyes like shifts, like, oh shit. And after that particular pause, they start arguing again, instead of saying, oh wait, you're right. Might be. And then, take the L and move. Instead, they would keep arguing the point. And later on, they would correct themselves and never mention it again. But they have to stick to their guns at that period, and like end it in a way that would either shift the argument into like, oh, you're bald, or at least my girlfriend didn't dump me, or just like, just divert the argument, make it about that instead of this, or you argue it to, we'll see, and then everybody looks at their phone. One or the other, right? I don't engage with these as much, so I don't have as many examples. So I, the idea stands, which is being right is not the goal of a discussion, and the only way you can know that you're right is if you examine the evidence very clearly with another person and have that other person agree. Why? Because, okay, things can make sense in your head, but your head is also susceptible to fallacies, mistakes, things you do and sometimes fuck you over. It's fine. It happens to all of us. You know, like in your head, it's like a matrix of thought, and sometimes the matrix doesn't get the ideal result, or the correct one rather, or the practical one if you want to make it better. It doesn't mean what's in your head wasn't correct. It means that it wasn't applicable in that particular circumstance. But you get the gist. That's why you need an external opinion. So you go and you talk to another person. You discuss with them, you make the facts clear, and if they agree that it is more probable that you're right, and the more you discuss it with people, and the more you refine your argument, and the more they agree or disagree, and then you clarify, i.e., like this is like scientific method at this point, the more the argument gets better and better, and the more the probability of you being right increases, right? And then you expose it to a mass number of people, hear their counter arguments, and so on. Refine, improve until you have this solid foundation of whatever this thing is. Of course, a discussion in a random hangout that just happened out of nowhere doesn't need to get to this advanced level, but everything converges to that same idea. If you follow this, you can rest easy knowing that there is a path to being correct or most correct in that very circumstance. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on the issue. Like, comment, subscribe, all that, and I'll see you all on the next one.